So here's the other thing I got on my mind. As you know, we built a trailer. Me and Luke Palioka built a trailer out of a refrigerator years ago, and we put 32 Studebaker fenders on it and some fat wheels and tires, and you can open the lid and put stuff in it, and it's got a place in the back where you can lift off a section and put a spare tire in there, and it's built in such a way that one of those little foldable tent things will fit on top of it. And then we had the car show a while back, and I made it into a car show sign. And then Robert, who's the dance instructor, was talking about us being in a Christmas parade, and he asked, if I could let some of the women ride in the Studebaker and let them jump out and dance occasionally. And we had talked about having a float, but he said that's too much trouble to build a float. And I got to thinking, well, this right here would make a pretty interesting trailer pull behind the Studebaker. And what we could do is we could have this couple of the women dancing just step up here and ride in the parade. And then when we stopped, they could step off here and dance, and then step back on here when we took off. And we could throw a painter's tarp right over the car show sign and just paint Happy Feet Dancers on there. And then we could have 2 or 3 women in the Studebaker and a couple of women standing on this trailer, and that could be a part of the Christmas parade where the Happy Feet Dancers get a kind of a special vehicle to be in the parade and dance from. And so what that brings me to is the next step, which is putting a trailer hitch on the Studebaker. And I want to do it in such a way that I don't put anything on the Studebaker that can't be taken off. Now, this is a vintage classic car. It's a Studebaker Rockney. They only made them 2 years. I don't know how many of them there are left in the world. I'm guessing, it's in the hundreds. So I was thinking, well, I could take this. This is like a small 1-inch Reese hitch thing. And I could, if I did it right, I could mount it back here and run a brace up to here and have that brace where it would bolt, where I could put bolts in and bolt the trailer hitch brace in here. That way, if I want to take it off, all I have to do is take these bolts out. And this piece here is not real strong, but I've got some metal around here that I brought home that I had some that was in I pulled it out of the trash bin up at the church and brought it home. And I've also got this little piece right here. So this is a piece that goes over that gas tank, and it's off of here right now, but it may go back on here at some point. So whatever I build, I don't want to get it in the way of that piece. So I think what I'm going to do is take the Studebaker up to the house and back it into the garage where the Rambler was, and that way I can study on this. We got a car show coming up in a couple weeks too. That's why I haven't done this is the B&M transmission kit. I haven't jumped into that because I kind of don't want to disable this car till after the car show. By the way, I went down to see Jeff this morning and looked at his setup for his electronic power steering that he's putting on the Studebaker that he's building. That looked pretty slick. runs down the side of the car and up under the car. It actually touches the frame. That's something else I might work on. I thought about heating that up and trying to bend it down away from the car a little bit or something. I hadn't quite resolved that yet, but it is something I might even could put a brace on it or something like that. I love the idle this thing has. This thing here might be something else rattling. Might be the other side over there rattling. I've also got some metal pieces I could go down and get. I'll go do that. So one of the things I will want to do if I'm going to put this cover back on this, and I think I might since I'm going to be doing what I'm doing, I've got gas leaks here. This is the gas gauge sending unit, and this is the little nozzle that attaches to this tank, and it leaks right back here when this tank has enough gas in it. So I think I'm going to wire brush all around here, get me some Por15 Epoxy putty. You can see where I put some gasket on here before and the gas just ate that up. So I wire brush all that off. I'll try a little epoxy putty on that. See if I can seal that leak up, because I don't want to put that cover over that and leave that leaky. I kicked around the idea about buying a different tank. I kind of wanted one of those nice aluminum tanks to put back here, but the price kind of stopped me on that one. Okay. I would do this with a wire brush on the grinding wheel, but I'm afraid that if I made a spark, y'all might be reading my obituary in the local paper in a few days. So I know that 63 Impala's got a big history with setting things on fire out there. I'm not really trying to follow in his footsteps along those lines, you know. I would prefer to not. I've had enough fire in my life. I would tell you, a guy burned to death in a truck one time when I was a young truck driver, and I tried to get him out of the truck. I got in the truck with him. It was burning. He was trying to get somebody to help him cut his legs off, because he was pinned in. The metal on the old truck was smushed around his legs. He was begging somebody to help him cut his legs off. See, that's my history with fire, and that right there, that was enough for me to do not want to move in that direction. I believe that's not a clamp, a loosenable connection there. Taking that screw out, so maybe I can just kind of work under it. Yeah, see that? I put some RTV on there. It didn't do any good at all. It didn't stay put. But I believe a little thin bead of, roll up a little thin bead of that Por15 two-part epoxy putty and put it down. See, I might need to take this off again someday, so I don't want to put something on there that ain't gonna, that I wouldn't be able to ever get off, you know. Maybe a little thin bead around the edge of that would work. And then I can, after it hardens up, I can come back and paint this again. And what I can do too is do this and let it harden all night. And then when I come back tomorrow, I'll be ready to, if I'm not going to pick up an engine, I'll be able to come in here and paint this and then work out how I want my trailer hitch thing to fit. Yeah. I believe I'll wipe all that down with some acetone. This is the stuff I'm talking about. Now, a lot of people don't even realize that this stuff exists, apparently. But I've used this even for body work. I had a 55 Ford. It had rust along the roof gutter line. And that was, man, I know, you know, Mr. Heavy Chevy, who's way more talented than me, cut all the rust out of his 57 Chevy and replaced it with metal. I wasn't talented enough to do that. And I had rust that went down around the windshield. And I used this to fix it with. And it never did let go. It held. It did what I needed it to do. And right now, I talked Bobby into buying some of this, and he's, you know, you can soak rust out of something with vinegar, but then when it goes to repair it, sometimes you don't have anything to attach to. And around the bolt holes and stuff on his tractor, he had that. And I turned him onto this, and he's been gradually patching his tractor fenders with this stuff. And it's working. It's doing what it's supposed to do. So that's what I'm going to do today. The way this stuff works is it's a two-part epoxy. I can't do it with one hand. There's two different colors. It's like a lot of epoxies. You just basically cut off a little piece of each. There's two packages. You take a little bit of this, a little bit of that, mix it all together, and apply it, and let it harden up, and that does the trick. I'm going to do just that right now. Alrighty then, we'll leave that till in the morning, then we'll come out here and put a coat of paint on it, and we'll kind of go from there. Okay.